Yes, I am.
Okay, so let me use Dr. Sajjad Madni because I have a very extensive biography of Dr. Madni, and he is director of the COMSATS University, Islamabad, a university where one of my colleagues recently joined over there, a brilliant rector they have over there, and he and I worked together as a foreign professor initially. So Dr. Sajjad Madni is Professor of Computer Science and Director of the COMSAT University, Islamabad. As I said, in WA campus, he has a rich experience of 17 plus year teaching, research, and academic administration. Dr. Madni did his PhD from Vienna University of Technology, Austria in 2008, MS from the prestigious LUMS in 2003, and BS from UET Peshawar in 2000. Dr. Madni contributed in a distinctive way in the dissemination of innovative IT research. He is organizing international conferences on frontiers of information technology for the last 8 years. Dr. Madni has a lot more. He has an extensive biography that we will be sharing with you, once we put all these videos. So without any delay, I will request Dr. Madni to come forward and share with us his thought about effective online teaching. Welcome, Dr. Madni, please.
Thank you very much, Ji. I'll be sharing my screen now so that everybody can see the slides. So are the slides visible?
Your slides are visible, Doctor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to this prestigious workshop. As introduced by Honorable Vice Chancellor Saab, I am Dr. Sajjad Madni from COMSATS University, Islamabad. So COMSATS University was established in 2000. It has 6 faculties, 20 departments, 8 research centers, around 1.1 million books, 2,600 faculty members, out of which 1,100 are PhD faculty members, and a student body of 33K. After the brief introduction of COMSATS University, Islamabad, what we would be talking about is the online learning. And I personally like this particular quote very much, that universities of the future will be built with clicks and not bricks. So this is sort of a controversial sentence, but the circumstances today actually has pushed us to the limits to go to this particular goal. And probably in the future, we are going to have a kind of educational environment where the most of the stuff is going to be online or by, I don't know, robotic teachers, adaptive learning. And all these concepts are actually going to jump in, and the brick and mortar universities would remain there, but probably would slip away in the future. So if you look at this particular picture, this is an illustration of a classroom from the 14th century. There is a teacher who is sitting on a podium, and there are a group of students. Some are talking with each other, some are listening to the lecture, some have got bored, and while some are discussing stuff with each other, and some are sleeping. Fast forward 600 years, if you look at the classes today, it is exactly the same. We have a teacher standing at the podium, but bombarding students with a lot of content and material, and it's sort of teacher-centric learning, where teacher is the master of everything, and students are just listening to the teacher and going along as guided or directed by the teacher. But if we look at the technologies today, which actually have almost transformed all walks of life. So if we look at the transportation industry, if you look at the aviation industry, we have smart irrigation systems, supply chain, manufacturing industry, and services industry. We have Facebook, which is the largest content provider in the world without owning even a single content of it. We have Airbnb, which is the largest hotel industry without owning a single hotel. We have Uber and Careem, which are the largest taxi services available in the world, without owning even a single taxi. So technology has impacted us in many, many ways, and education is not different, and it is going to impact us, and it is going to impact us big. So with the advent of technology, now we have expanded access to a lot of different material available in the form of MOOCs. We have abundance of information. We have opportunities for formal learning as well as informal learning. And if you can, if you have gone through it, so even there are big companies in the US who are now looking actually for skills and not for degrees, and they want people to have a particular skill for the particular university. So things are actually getting opening up, and the technology has actually brought us to enable us to do extensive collaboration as well as extensive communication. So the crux is either we need to digitize or we need to die. There is no other way for educational industry to remain relevant as long as it goes traditional. Of course, we can go traditional as well as we can go digital, and we should be adopting something very, very hybrid. And one of the outcomes of the current pandemic actually is almost all universities in the world in some way have adopted the concept of online learning. So this introduction of technology is actually resulting in a paradigm shift, and the paradigm shift is going from teacher-centric learning to student-centric learning, where the role of teacher actually is changing from sage on the stage to guide on the side, and students are actually becoming the masters of their learning, and teachers are becoming actually the guides who facilitate the students to learn in a more adaptive way. And how the things are becoming student-centered learning, and why the teacher is becoming a guide on the side, we would be discussing these issues very shortly in our presentation. But I'm going a little bit fast. I hope everybody is catching up, because the time I have got is very, very limited, and then I would like to have more discussion rather than I presenting and everybody listening to my presentation. So to me, and online education actually is or e-learning actually relies on the communication network for interaction between the students and the teacher, and for the distribution of course content. So this is all which is online education about. But when we talk about online education, so we have a lot of challenges while we do online education, and I would be discussing these challenges based on our experiences in the last 3 years in our virtual campus environment, and then in the last 1 year after the pandemic in our WA campus environment. So the biggest challenge for online learning actually is adaptability, and this adaptability issue is true for faculty members as well as it is true for students. When we started our hybrid learning program, so hybrid learning actually is a kind of a program where students were doing a lot of physical courses, but then we introduced a concept that long before the pandemic. This is I'm telling you a story of 2 years back. So we introduced a concept that every student in the university will have to study 3 online courses, and that was a compulsion on the students. So once we started that concept of hybrid learning, so when we offered it for the first time, so we had a strike by the students, and a lot of students actually gathered outside the building and they chanted slogans. And what they said was that we do not want to do online learning, we are paying fee and we are coming physical to the universities, and why should we be going for online learning? And then our argument was we are not saving any money out of it. What we are doing is we want you to learn how to learn, and if once a student learns how to learn, then it becomes in the life very, very easy to learn and adapt to different ideologies. And then we also told them that a lot of information is already available in the world across the networks, and you have to adopt to this new skills and you have to learn it. Anyways, cutting long story short, the first semester was very difficult. Every time the students would be doing a lot of disturbances, but ultimately as of today, after passing 2.5 years, we have already 60,000 students registered in our online courses. There were 3-4 online courses, and the students adapted well and the teachers adapted well. And this adaptability issue can always be sorted out by regular trainings with the students as well as the faculty members and all this stuff. The second biggest issue when in effective online learning is, and this issue actually came up when we were doing our online teaching in the wake of pandemic. So once we started this online learning, so we realized there are a lot of technical challenges, and the technical challenges included, for example, students living in Waziristan or students living in Gilgit-Baltistan. For our international guests, these are the areas which are very, very remote areas which have bandwidth issues, network issues, technology issues. So all these students actually started complaining to us that we cannot have we cannot learn online, and the reason being we do not have technical infrastructure. So these are really serious challenges. And unless and until we have a strong technical infrastructure available with us, it is almost impossible to deliver stuff online to all these remote cases. So what we did was we did a detailed survey of the students. And after compiling our survey, we shortlisted the eligible students, which were around 110 for our WAC campus. And after shortlisting them, we started burning material on the CDs, and then we started sending them CDs over the courier services. And then we would be following up with them on the telephones if they have received the CDs and if they were able to run the CDs. And then if there were any questions or issues of them, so then we requested the faculty members to get connected with them over the telephone so that they can sort out their issues. So this is a serious issue. And probably many areas in Pakistan and probably in Afghanistan and Bangladesh, everywhere, this challenge would, even in the advanced countries, there are bandwidth issues and people have to go around these challenges. Then is the digital literacy. So this was again one of the major challenge for students as well as for faculty members. We know students are tech savvy, they are good in doing stuff, but it is not true for all the students, it is not true for all the faculty members. For example, a faculty member teaching, let's say, history or Islamic studies in our university. So he complained that I am not that good in doing the technology, and you are asking me to run online courses. So it's kind of very difficult for us. And similarly, students of mathematics department started complaining that it is very difficult for us to understand equations and all this, and we need some other way to handle it. So what we did was we did extensive trainings for the faculty of humanities, and then for faculty of mathematics as well. And then we purchased specific devices for them. I would be showing you one at the end of the presentation, where they could write very easily equations and all this, and able to deliver their contents. The other important challenge is time management, and time management actually is an issue when we talk about asynchronous learning. What is synchronous and what is asynchronous? I would be talking about it in a mini while. But unless and until students manage their time in a good way, it is not going to be successful. This online learning, time management is very important. Self-motivation again is one of the most important factors, because unless and until the faculty members as well as the students are self-motivated to learn, it is almost impossible. I mean, we can just fill in the blanks, but the actual objectives of learning is very difficult to achieve. And the other serious challenge is, once all adaptability and technical and digital literacy and time management issues are sorted out, so the most important challenge is student engagement in a class, be it a synchronous mode or be it asynchronous mode. The student engagement is something which is very, very challenging. So we tried a lot of different stuff to see how we can engage the students. Initially, we developed an LMS, then we started using discussion boards in our LMS so that students can start discussing on the discussion boards. It was successful, but not to the extent that we wanted. A very limited number of students actually participated in the discussion boards. Then we started grading the discussion boards, and we called it graded discussion boards. Once we started grading the discussion boards, so the participation of the students increased, but again, not to our expectations, and we wanted that the students should be engaged with the course material extensively. So finally, what we did was we plugged in into our LMS the social media plugins. For example, we plugged in actually Facebook. So once we plugged in the Facebook into our LMS, so Facebook is something that is being used by almost every student, and based on the surveys, people at time per day you spend 4 to 5 hours sitting on Facebook. And once we did that, plugging in Facebook plugin into our LMS, so the response of the students and the student engagement was exceptionally well. Whenever there was a discussion initiated by the faculty member, the student would readily respond to it. And then if there was a question by the student, and if the faculty member for a particular time was not available, so some other student who would get notification of the question by the initial student would simply respond to it, and the students would start discussing with each other, and then finally faculty member would come, and then he would see, and then he would summarize at the end that what is the right answer and what is the right conclusion or analysis of a particular segment that was being discussed. So student engagement again is something which is very, very serious, and there are many ways of handling it, and we did it by using the social media platforms. So about online learning, the good is it can be done anywhere, it can be done anytime, and it can be done at any pace. And this pace stuff is very, very important. We all know we have been teachers for a long time. Some students are good in the class, some students are not that good in the class. So the beauty of availability of content online is, if I'm a good student, so I can simply skip whatever the material is because I know already it, and I can save time, and I can spend that time on something more useful and much better. If I'm not that good student, so I have the opportunity to listen and to re-listen to it and to re-listen to it unless and until I get and understand the stuff. Then the stuff is student-centric. It all depends upon the student because he can set the time, he can set the space, and then he would be the one, or she would be the one who would finalize on what particular topic to spend more time and on what particular topic to spend less time, which actually is not the case in our traditional learning environments. It is a beautiful way of doing a lot of collaborations, because if you look at the big online courses, so I have been studying some courses on Coursera and all this, and I have been communicating with a lot of people from different countries and becoming learning from each other experiences. So collaboration is one good way of it provides a very good opportunity for collaboration. Then if you look at the traditional classroom, so there are some extrovert students, there are some introvert students, and this online learning platforms actually provide very good opportunity for introvert students who actually does not have the courage to talk very much actively in the classroom environment. So they can simply start discussing stuff online by chatting or by commenting or by initiating topics. So the introvert students actually get to know a lot when it comes to online education, and then accessibility to information, and then creativity in teaching. And there are a lot of very, very good things about online teaching. So the bad is, or the weaknesses of the online learning is equity and accessibility technology. And this I have already discussed. We have been doing survey in our southern campuses, and there were at least 20-25% of the students who actually did not even were owning a laptop. So if a student does not have a laptop, and if he does not have or she does not have access to the internet, so it becomes very, very difficult. And then looking at the larger context, if you look at the population of poor countries or developing countries, so around 70-80% of them actually does not have access to all these technologies. A lack of computer literacy we discussed to some extent. Technology limitations is again one of a very serious issues. It is not if the technology would fail, but it is when it would fail, because this is going to happen, and this happens every time. If you remember Bill Gates in the opening ceremony of his Windows 98, right in the middle of the ceremony, Windows 98 crashed, and this happens. Then this online learning actually is sort of, there is no face-to-face interactions, kind of social isolation. The student has to do a lot of self-discipline, and it has to do a lot of, or she has to do a lot of self-direction. What we did was, in our virtual campus for the social isolation, what we did was we started arranging sort of lab meetings of the students once in a semester, so that they can come and they can learn from each other cultures and each other areas, and then sort of we try to do this interaction, physical, face-to-face. But now the technologies has advanced so much that we at times we know nobody, and then we interact with them online so much that I hope this limitation to some extent can be addressed. The issue with online learning is acceptability in the society and perception of the low quality. And this actually has the pandemic actually highlighted this issue to a great extent. The issue was our faculty members were not ready, our students were not ready, our infrastructure was not ready, our systems were not ready, and we had to go online all in once. And once we went online, though that particular acceptability and that particular perception actually went even further low. Actually, online learning or virtual learning or e-learning, it takes a lot of effort to produce very, very good courses, and then people were forced to go online very, very fast. And for that particular reason, this challenge has appeared, and this will remain for some time unless and until we come up with really good quality stuff. One of the issue with online learning is it is limited to certain disciplines. Certain disciplines actually cannot be done completely online. For example, if we talk about heavily intensive lab sort of courses, for example, civil engineering or mechanical engineering, though we have made very good online labs for these departments. Or if we look at MBBS and medical sciences, so all these, it can augment it, but it cannot go online completely. And then the curriculum is a very important part of it. One very example, for example, if somebody goes, initially we did 1.5 hour lectures, we recorded them, we put them online, and then students started complaining who is going to listen to all this stuff. So the latest trend and the research is that we need to chunk our lectures into lessons. And if you chunk it into small lessons, then it becomes, for example, 8 to 10 minutes chunks. It becomes very, very easy for the students to listen to them, and then the student has the option to simply skip a particular chunk if she or he already knows about it, and can jump to the next part of it. Quality assessment was a challenge, is a challenge, and would remain a challenge in online learning. We have been doing a lot of experiments on it. We developed very good systems with video cameras, and we came up with open book exams and a lot of other mechanisms, dynamic quizzes. But this is a challenge, and unless and until students are ethically very, very strong, if they are not tilted towards cheating, if they are not self-motivated, this would remain a challenge. And I think this needs a lot of research to how to do fair assessments when it comes to online teaching. So all this online teaching can be done in synchronous way and asynchronous way. I hope everybody knows what synchronous and asynchronous way is. In simple words, synchronous is students learn at the same time, everything is scheduled. In asynchronous way, the communication is not scheduled, and students can learn at their own time. So we have experienced both of it. Initially, what we did was we started with synchronous learning. Once this pandemic came, so we at our WAC campus started doing online sessions, but that was not successful. Once you are live, and if there is some issue, or if there is a bandwidth issue, or if there is electricity issue, so what do? There was no option available for the students. So what we did was we started doing asynchronous as well as synchronous mode, and we did both of it online. We developed an excellent website. We call it a COMSATS WAC courseware. We put all our materials, the recorded lectures, on the website, as well as this was supplied to the students through the learning management system. And once this was available to the students, so after 2 days, every lecture was supported by a synchronous online lecture. So the student was supposed to listen to the lectures, and then they would come to an online class, and then they would start discussing the online material with the faculty members. So this really is very, very effective in a sense that students already have the material available. They can come online and discuss with the teacher. And even if some student misses the online lecture, so what we did was, with the tool, we started recording our online sessions as well. So if a student would miss it, the question, answer, or discussion part of it, so he or she can listen to it later on at his ease. So the way forward is, and this was beautifully put by Higher Education Commission of Pakistan as well, to be able to start teaching stuff, we need to have 6 pillars should be complete. The university need to have an LMS policy, and then the course elements are to be placed on LMS, learning objective, textbooks, evaluation. Dr. Suhail would be talking about it a little bit. The faculty need to have very good extensive training. We need to have ready library. Technology is very, very important. And then the students, where we can facilitate the students, we can train the students, and we can sort out their issues of technology, of logins, of whatever they face. So there has to be a well-placed structure if we want our online stuff to be successful. So I will very, very quickly go through the essential skills. I would not be going into the details, but if there are any questions, that we can discuss them in our discussion session. So essential skills include understand the language of online education, what is hybrid learning, what is blended learning, what is online learning, what is e-learning, what is pedagogy, and all this stuff people should be knowing before going into or jumping into online learning. We need to revise and rewrite our contents in CMS. At times, people upload the stuff and then they forget about it forever. So this has to be updated every now and then. We need to evaluate, design, and develop online courses based on certain standards. And we should be using a lot of technology, because there are a lot of very good tools. I would be showing small videos to you so that you can see how technology was used to design the courses. Internet resources की adaptation है, the online tone has to be there. We need to foster student-to-student in discussions as well as collaborations. We need to provide appropriate and timely feedback. This is very, very important. You need to get feedback in the start, then in the middle, and then in the end of the course. We have been doing things extensively in our campus, and based on the feedback, we discuss with the faculty members as well as the CRs, and then come up with the strategies for tutorials and all this stuff. We have to intervene appropriately if the students misbehave online, and there are a lot of incidences across the world about this. So we should be communicating appropriately with the students in one-on-one on group settings, provide course materials to the students in a timely manner. Communication is very important when it comes to online learning. We need to keep track of the students' participation in online courses and provide students with basic technical support services, as I have already discussed. There are certain tools available, very beautiful, good platforms. Zoom, we are already using. In our campuses, we are using our LMS coupled with MS Teams, and these two combinations actually does almost everything that somebody would like it to do. Facebook Live, again, is something that can be used. Panopta is an excellent tool. Google Educational Suite, on SMS. There are a lot of hundreds of tools. I'm not going into the details of this. Yeah, but our experience is that MS Team requires very less bandwidth. It can record all the stuff. It can help you in taking quizzes and attendances, and then coupled with our LMS or your university's LMS, this can do whatever is needed to be done. MOOCs, again, everybody is aware of it. There are 45 master's degree programs worldwide running with the help of MOOCs and with the help of universities. So once this pandemic started, so we also came up with the idea of openlearn.pk, one of the small MOOC that is visible over here. And we then started gathering freely available courses relevant to Pakistan. And we developed a website with more than 150K videos. This is actually the glimpse of the website that you can see over here. This is the glimpse of our VAC campus course where all the courses are available online over here. We actually put the courses in VAC campus online for the reason that we had some issues with the quality of the courses, so it was a very cautious decision. I discussed it with the faculty members, and I convinced them that I'm going to put everything online so that everybody is going should be able to see it. And once we agreed upon it, then everybody started developing pretty good courses because it was then subject to public scrutiny and all this. This is again the style of our lectures that we have developed. I just am showing you the screenshot. This is the mobile app that we have developed for our online learning as well as our traditional learning. These are pretty good apps, and whenever there is certain activity for a particular student, so the system of notifications actually triggers the students to act upon the issue. This is our online examination systems. If there are any questions, we can then discuss it later on. Once we started this online learning, so there are a lot of challenges in the start because a lot of faculty members were not used to it. And there were a lot of questions: what tools to use, how do we record a video, how do we do lab intensive courses, what tools are available. So we have been discussing it at great lengths, and the simplest way to record a lecture without hi-fi cameras and editing tools and instructional designers, all you need to have is a simple, good quality mic and PowerPoint slides. So one can record pretty good lectures with the help of freely available tools. And this is what most of our faculty finally decided to do for recording their lectures. So I don't know if I'm going to run a small sample lecture. So these are the kind of the lectures that we have been recording. I'm not sure if you're listening to it. So the issue is we need to make our lectures very, very interesting. I'm not saying all our lectures are like this, but faculty members had put a lot of efforts to make good lectures. For example, one of the issues was how do we conduct lab courses? And this is again our faculty members developed. So I'm not sure if you listen to the audio of the lectures because there has to be certain rights given by the host. But anyways, this was a short presentation by me, and probably, inshallah, we will be having good discussion and question answer session. And then I will now request Dr. Saab, the continuation of the presentation is by Dr. Suhail, who actually would go into a little bit of more details of how the course contents would look like and how the faculty presence should be looking like and all this stuff. So thank you very much from my side.
Doctor, it's a wonderful introduction. I think you really set the scene for this course to move forward. So we have you cleared the way for next colleague. So we have now two speakers. One is lady and one is gentleman. So I don't know how we go. Ladies first or the gentleman first, you know. But it was really intriguing. For the participant, we will very humbly request, like if you can put your questions on the side. So once we will be putting the videos, your questions will be answered by the respective facilitator. So